So thank you for joining me for day 8 for the 30 stitches in September. This is the sample I did last night. It's called the Spider, and we're going to be using the single crochet in a chain. And if we can kind of pull apart here, give you a look at what those stitches look like. I am going to be using, this was the worsted weight little bit I had, and it was stiffer. So, but today what I thought we would do, I'm going to use the softer yarn, and I'm just going to start like we always do. We are going to start with our slip stitch. Now a little background on this, it's a multiple, an odd number multiples, and then we're going to add 2 for the foundation chain. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And then we're going to add our 2. 1, 2. And then we're going to go, remember we don't count what's on our hook, so we're going to go skip 2, go into the third one, and make our first single crochet. We're going to chain 1 and make another single crochet in the same place. All right, so now we're going to skip 1, and we're just going to repeat that all the way to the end. It's going to be a single crochet, chain 1, single crochet. I'm using a little bit bigger hook. I'm hoping this kind of makes her pattern show up better. Remember, so there we go. We're going to skip 1 and do the same thing. Skip 1. We'll do the same thing. Okay, so on this one, now we're at the end, and for the last one we're just going to do a single crochet, and that is our first row. Like I said, I did a bigger hook. I'm hoping it kind of shows what we're doing a little bit better. So we're going to chain 2, and we're going to turn. Now we are going to go, remember we did 2 single crochets with the chain 1, so we're going to look for that chain 1 in between our single crochets, and that's where we're going to work the same stitches. We're going to do single crochet, chain 1, a single crochet. So we're going to go to the next one here. We want to get between those. We want to make sure we're hitting that single crochet that we did in between the, do that chain stitch in between the single crochet. Sorry about that, guys. So this is the one we're always going to work in when we turn our row. Oops, come back here. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go find that chain. Here's our stitch. So we're going to find our chain in between the singles. I think the first 2 rows are a little bit harder maybe to spot, a little bit more work, but I found it easier on my sample when I went, got further on. So because you want to make sure you're doing in between that chain. on. Well, why am I having a hard time here? Give me a minute and let me look real good. Okay, I just had to fiddle with it just a little bit more. So remember, we're going to repeat this all the way to the end. You think that would be easier to find, but sometimes those stitches are not as easy as it looks. And it does get easier as you build your project up. As I said, just this first few rows seem to be just a tad more paying attention to it. Just remember to do that chain in between, and we're working all these stitches in the same place. So this should be our last one. Chain one and go right back in. Oops. And then we want to find our last stitch. Turn it to direct towards you a little bit if it has a hard time finding it, and we want to do that single crochet. Then we're going to chain two and turn. Like I said, I'm using a bigger hook. I know that's makes it a little bit more not as tight as my other sample, but hopefully this makes it a little bit easier to see that pattern. And we're always going to go in between those two single crochets, catching that chain one. And sometimes I start off with a tighter tension. Always have to try to make sure my tension stays consistent. That way it's a little bit easier. Okay. So we're looking for that chain one. Put that in. And I'm also looking, when I'm turning it, I'm looking 1, 2, and that third one should be that middle chain in that, you know, what we're doing. It's like so this is the middle of it. So I'm trying to see that and I'm trying to explain more. So we're going to go 1, 2, and this should be that chain in between those single crochets, if that makes sense better. I hope that helps. Sometimes I don't think about what I'm doing to make it easy for myself, and forget to explain what helps me in doing that. So let's just do another row, or start another row. So we chained our 2. So I'm skipping 1, 2, and I find this third one right here, and that should be my chain. So I'll put it in there, and then I do my little set. And then I'm going to do the same thing. We skip 2, find that little, for some reason that stitch looks smaller than the rest. Now, I don't know if that'll help you or not. There we go. Put that part back in there. So hopefully that helps you. That one always looks a little bit smaller, so it's a little bit, might seem a little bit more a challenge to get your hook in there, but chain 1, and we're doing that. Now I'm gonna see if this helps a little bit. So this is the written pattern, and as you can see, we're working right in here. So we're skipping the 2 stitches, and then that should be our chain in between the single crochets. I'm just kind of hoping to kind of show you that with the diagram what I'm looking for when I turn that, to show you the top. So you can go ahead and finish this all the way through, and we can kind of see what we're going to end up with. So if it helps, the trick for me is to 1, 2, and the third one should be our chain. And that's what I'm working our next set in. So single crochet, chain 1, and a single crochet. I'm skipping 2. And then that's how we'll finish it off. All right, so there is our spider stitch. This is done with a bigger hook. And this is it's supposed to be a 4-weight also. And then the difference here is that this is done also, it's a 4-weight, but it's done with a 5mm. That was a 6. So you can see the difference in your texture and how it will kind of lay. Using a dark color can be challenging because you can lose the design. And though this is kind of a medium, it's not like dark, I can understand that if it was a darker color, dark blue, it would be harder to see. And you can kind of see the, notice the difference here. Let me get this where I can show you better, guys. I'm sorry. All right, so you can kind of see difference. And, you know, depending on what hook you're using and what color you're using, the light color does show the pattern or the design better. And then the dark, and the type of yarn that you're using, the difference in that. Because even though this says, where's my little tail? Did I trim it off already? Let me see if I can get this up here. Kind of compare the yarn. Even both these are 4 weights. This looks more of a, you know, lighter 4 if it is a 4. If you consider it a 4, you could be close to a 3. But anyway, so that's it for today. The spider, I thought that would be kind of a different one to share with you. And I appreciate you staying with me today. And I hope to see you tomorrow for day 9. And we'll see what stitch we can come up with. If you do have a suggestion, please let me know. And I will look it up. And we can do that in one of our days. All right, guys. Have a wonderful Sunday. Bye.